Feeding cows in the barnyard in the wintertime, what a mess it can be. In this video, we're going to profile a cattle heavy use area that was constructed with a wood chip surface. It's wood chips over drainage, and we're going to talk about how the system was designed, look at how well it's worked, so stick around. Hey everybody, Nate Doing here with the Bradford County Conservation District, and we are talking to farmers about barnyards in the wintertime. And you may be doing a great job at extending your grazing season into the winter, but there's still those times of the year where you've got to bring livestock off the field. You've got to get them into a concentrated space and do some feeding. And that can be stress for farmers, for animals, and our natural resources. So today we're profiling a project, an improved cattle heavy use area that was done with a wood chip surface. So that's as opposed to the traditional concrete surface that's typically used. So let's see what we can learn. Let's get an overview of this system. We are at Dewey Meadows Farm, Bradford County, Pennsylvania. It's a grass-fed beef grazing operation. They graze about 50 head of black Angus beef on 100 acres. And they are pushing that grazing season toward winter, but still, for most of the winter, feeding supplemental feeds. So when it comes time to get those cows off the field, they're bringing them into a lot. And typical of so many farms, for the winter, they're feeding them in this outdoor lot, and come springtime, it is definitely a mess. So the goal, whenever you're trying to improve an area like this, is to stabilize an area that can stand up to the cattle traffic, allow you to handle the manure, and at the same time collect all those nutrients for efficient use on the farm. So this project is using a wood chip surface. The goal here is to not depend so much on concrete. So the layout is the majority of the area is wood chips, and those wood chips are placed over a drainage system, so all precipitation, liquid wastes are going quickly down through the drainage material for collection and field application. The wood chip area is adjacent to a concrete feed lane, so the cows can get off the wood chips to do their feeding and access water, so the majority of that manure can be scraped into a manure stacking area.
We're at Dewey Meadows Farm. We have a beef operation. I was a dairy farmer for 27 years, and when we got rid of the dairy cows, we got into the beef business, and it's a cow-calf operation, and right now we're doing all grass-fed beef. And I always fed my cows in this area, which is the barnyard, but it was a very big mess about springtime when the thaw came, and I always felt bad for the cows. So I had to do something, and this was what they come up with, and it's a 100 by 100 area of drained area and then a feeding area.
We start with an impermeable subgrade. In this case we had clay on site, so basically we just had to excavate down into that. On top of that we have geotextile, and every 10 feet we have a low swale spot where all the water will collect. And every 10 feet we have a perforated pipe across the whole cross section of the lot. On top of the drainage pipes we have 18 inches of Astro 57 2B gravel. That's to filter out any of the fines that might go down through the system. On top of that then is our foot of wood chips that are hauled in. Those are specialty type wood chips that have to be certain gradation and size. They're also screened so that the fines are not a part of those wood chips. What we ended up having to do here is we collect all the runoff that comes off the site, and it is pumped to an irrigation system which is sized according to the nutrient values that we've put on this material of what's going out there, and a removal basically by the grass filter area. The other options that we would have would be to go directly into manure storage and have that pumped out and spread like you would manure coming from a manure storage facility.
And the beauty of this is, last year was our first year with this, and the cows are always dry. They come out here in this area, they don't lay down in the feeding area, they come out in here and the water all drains away, into that tank. And so the wood chip area stays right here all winter long, and they soil it up pretty good. But when we turned cows out to pasture this year, after I got my baleage made, I cleaned all of this. I cleaned the top about 6 inches off and put that in the manure storage, which had been cleaned out at that point. And I left that there till I just spread that here a few weeks ago. And then I had about two more 100-yard loads and topped this back off with fresh wood chips. And they have to be clean wood chips. They can't have a lot of fines in them because we don't want to plug the drainage system up as the water perks through.
The other thing that we're evaluating is the maintenance that's required on this site. The farmer has already removed the top 6 inches once. Through time, we'll be able to determine, is that what's going to have to be done every year, or can we go a little bit longer? And also, over time, we'll see if any of the solids will make their way down into our system. This system has been designed with a bunch of clean outs in mind so that we can clean the system out if we have to. Some of the things we are evaluating are we're monitoring the rainfall that falls on the site and the correlation of that rainfall to what is actually going out to the filter area. So we're measuring what's going through the pump and what's being pumped to our filter area. We're also taking samples of the effluent to see just what the nutrient value is of that effluent. When we were looking at this wood chip barnyard is cow health, and how every concrete barnyard that we have installed in the last 30 years, the main thing that a lot of farmers tell us is they don't want their cows on concrete 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So in this case here, we have a feed area that is reinforced with concrete so it can be scraped and the manure can be scraped into a stacking area. And at the same time, the animals can get out onto this wood chip barnyard, be off of the concrete and loaf and lay. It's a lot more comfortable for the cow, and from a health standpoint should increase potentially production.
Condition was good on them last year, and like I say, they come right in there and eat. And they seem to be happy. You always figure, being a farmer, if you got happy cows, they're doing better, and the cows always seem quite content out here. And this spring, when I put them out to pasture, usually they're caked with manure because they're trying to find a dry place out here to lay down and can't find one. And this year they wasn't a bit of manure on a cow.
To evaluate a site, we would have to come out and, first of all, we want to do test pits to see what the underlying soil is. For example, if you have a sand or a gravel, that's not really what you want to build into. You would have to put some impermeable layer in there, which would increase the cost of this project. If you do have the good in-place clay or silk clay material, then we'd be able to do basically what we did on this site, is just use the underlying material as our subgrade. There is maybe a cost savings, but it's not near as much as what we had hoped it would be. We also oversized this structure maybe a little bit. Since it was the first one we were involved with, we used 200 square foot an animal unit. Some of the other places that have tried this have used down to 100, 125 square foot an animal unit. So there could have been some extra cost savings, or you could have more animals on this barnyard than what we put here.
So let's review the highlights. We start with an impervious subgrade shaped to expedite drainage. We've got geotextile laid over the subgrade, clean stone over the pipes, large size screened wood chips at the surface to provide good drainage. We've got a way to handle the effluent that's collected, and we have an off-pad site for feed and water. Hey again, it's Nate Dewing with the Bradford County Conservation District. Thank you for letting us share this project with you, and we look forward to connecting with you again.